What if I told you that the Roughnecks already have the most important piece of their championship puzzle without having a single player on the team yet? Well, I'm happy to break it to you. It's the truth! Hey, what's up, XFL and Roughnecks fans? My name is Colin Watkins, and welcome to episode 2 of the Roughnecks Analyst Podcast. I'm your host, Colin Watkins, once again. And for today's episode, I was brainstorming the whole week ever since my introduction episode. I was brainstorming, what did I want to do? Do I want to do player spotlights? We don't even know the draft pool just yet. Do I want to do a player interview? It takes a lot to reach out to people, so no, I didn't want to do that. So today I was just like, you know what? Let's take a look at the coaching staff, because we know we got Wade Phillips, but who else do we got? And as you can tell by the intro, folks, I got some great news if you are a Houston Roughnecks fan or a Houston XFL fan. You won't believe what I found. We have a hidden gem on our coaching staff. Our offensive coordinator, A.J. Smith. This guy is utterly insane. He is like the poster child of what a good offensive coordinator is going to look like, especially in the XFL. So A.J. Smith, if you have not heard of him, in 2020, he was the Houston Roughnecks wide receiver coach. And you may be thinking, okay, Colin, what does that have to do with anything? Is that really that impressive? Yes, it's impressive. Think about our receiving core in 2020. Nick Howdy, Cam Phillips, just to name it, Sam Mobley. We were the best offense in the league, and we had the best wide receivers, in my opinion, in the whole league in 2020. A.J. Smith, he headed that. He had that all. 5-0, what a great offense. But after the XFL folded in 2020, where did he go? What did he do? Did he just, fade away in the distance, or what did he keep doing? Well, he then went, if you watch the Spring League in 2021, he was the offensive coordinator, I believe, for the Conquerors. While they didn't make the playoffs, they were very close, maybe a few points away from making the playoffs. That's impressive. Michael Bandy, the wide receiver for the Conquerors, one of the best in the Spring League. And after the Spring League, he went to Calvary Baptist, his alma mater, I believe, in Louisiana, offensive coordinator for them, and won them a state title. And I'm reading all of this today, and I'm like, oh my goodness. We have this guy coming back with Wade Phillips too. Because again, Wade Phillips, keep in mind, he is going to be our head coach, for those who don't know Wade Phillips. In my opinion, he's going to be more of a defensive-minded coach. If you look at his coaching history, been a lot of defense heavy, defensive coordinator and all that stuff. And that's okay, because A.J. Smith, in my opinion, should be getting all the load of offense for this team. I think he should be huge in picking players. We'll talk about that later in the podcast. Players we should pick given A.J. Smith's play style. I'll get to that later. But, also play calling. I would love to see A.J. Smith make plays with Wade Phillips that both of them are, agreeing on plays. Because they do have history with each other. They've known each other for, 15 years. So, I had to share this excitement today. A.J. Smith, he's, I believe he's, he went to school and stuff in Louisiana. Landry Liddy, I believe, the Calvary Baptist, I have it right here in my notes. Calvary Baptist quarterback. A.J. Smith got him the state passing record in a championship game with this offense that he runs. And that is just such good news. I don't think y'all realize, if y'all haven't realized yet, how good of news this is. A lot of times when we look at, coaching staff specifically, we look at the head coach, head coach Wade Phillips or Ron Woodson, I believe. I forget Ron Woodson, maybe Las Vegas, I don't know. We look at these coaching staffs, even in the NFL, college, and we're like, head coach, he controls everything. That's not necessarily the truth, if you think about it. Because when I looked at the Roughnecks, or Houston's coaching staff and I saw AJ Smith, I knew he was the wide receiver coach, but I wanted to look more into it because, especially given with spring football, whether it be the USFL, XFL, whatever, the teams with the best offense usually tends to win. Like, always tends to win. Look at the Roughnecks, even though they have the best defense. High-powered offenses win you games in spring leagues. It's simple as that, especially passing offenses. So I was wanting to look today, because again, like I said, I was planning on possibly doing a player spotlight, player lookout thing. But I wanted to look at the coaching staff, and again, like I told you, all the credentials that AJ Smith has. He is a child of the game, as I say. He wants to learn the game. I was watching interviews where him and Wade Phillips back in like 2007 or whatever, they met at a coaching convention. And keep in mind, they're on the same coaching staff now. They met at a coaching convention, and they would spend hours in the hotel lobby drawing and writing out plays on napkins and just sharing it with each other. And folks, this is Houston's coaching staff. That's the synergy and the chemistry that they're going to have with each other. And that's huge. That is so important because you've got to have that connectivity between head coach and coordinators. And I didn't look into too much on like the defensive coordinator side. Today is just offensive coordinator. But what I found was phenomenal. So for those who, again, don't know, AJ Smith actually, he most currently, I'd call him more of a air raid offense type guy. We're going to start getting into football terminology here. I'll try to describe it in the easiest way as possible, so like I understand it too. So air raid offense is what I believe AJ Smith has been running most recently. He did admit that early on in his career, he was more of a run and shoot type guy. If for those who don't remember, June Jones in 2020, June Jones ran a run and shoot offense, of course, with AJ Smith as a wide receiver coach. So, of course, AJ Smith is going to be more familiar with run and shoot just based on 2020. But AJ Smith actually has very close ties and relations to head coach Hal Mummy, who was actually, I believe, the offensive coordinator in 2020 for the Dallas Renegades, and most recently the head coach for the Linemen, the 2021 Spring League champions, of course, in 2021. So you have AJ Smith not only learning from Wade Phillips early in his career, but Hal Mummy, who is like the father of the air raid offense. So AJ Smith, he has, from the bottom up, he has learned from truly the best, in my opinion. Hal Mummy, even though I do believe he's gotten some trouble recently, you gotta admit, he's a great coach. He knows what he's talking about. Again, like I said, he's sort of like the father, the co-creator of what we call the air raid offense now. And now the air raid offense, it's going to be a lot of passes down the field, a lot of open area passes. So you want to get the ball into the playmakers in open field in hopes that they're going to make plays. Now, in run and shoot, I guess you could say it's more down the field in hopes of setting up the run, hence run and shoot, whatever. That was what June Jones ran. But I believe with AJ Smith being more of a air raid offense guy and more of a Hal Mummy type guy, we're going to be getting less running plays and more passing. Way more passing. And I believe passing like down the field to open guys. And sure, you may be like, okay, Cullen, but we need to also run the ball like 2020, how June Jones did to perfection, why we got 5-0. But, at the same time, I do like this area, this zone that AJ Smith is trying to go into with this heavy air raid offense. Because, like I said, the best teams in spring football leagues tend to pass the ball very well. Even if you look at the USFL, very beginning, the Pittsburgh Maulers, all they did was ran the ball and they sucked. All right? So I do like that AJ Smith from the start is like, we're not running the ball. All right? We're not running it. If we do, it's going to be certain situations, but our offense is going to be mostly designed around passing the rock in the air. That's a pun, the rock. But passing the ball in the air to the open guy and try to pick up big yardage. I really, really like that. Because it's not like this hasn't worked. That's the thing. It's not like this hasn't worked for AJ Smith. If you look at every single place that AJ has coached at, my thing's at 1%, great. If you look at every single place that AJ Smith has coached at, you'll find nothing but success. Nothing but success. In 2020, 5-0 with the Roughnecks, dominated. The Conquerors had a winning record, just a few mishaps early on in the season. They missed the playoffs by a little bit. I believe they had the most second half points by far in the whole league. You had Brandon Silvers and Kevin Anderson blowing the season up, lighting up the numbers, like second half of the season. So you got that. Then he goes to Calvary Baptist High School Academy, and his quarterback breaks school passing or state passing records in championship games because of AJ Smith's offense. And we have this guy as our offensive coordinator. You are crazy if that does not excite you. That's why I had to make this podcast and share it with y'all. This is so exciting. This is huge for the Roughnecks. And you got to think, with Wade Phillips too, they got the chemistry. But Wade Phillips, he has enough experience. I think he has enough control on the defensive side of things. I think our offense will be fine. It does not surprise me. It will not surprise me if we are, once again, the best offense in the whole league. I watched an interview with AJ Smith. I forget who it was with. One of the guys maybe at XFL News Hub. AJ Smith said to expect more of the same from what we saw from Houston in 2020. If not even more passing. All right, that's pretty much what he said in his interview. Expect more of the same, if not more passing instead of running. And that makes me so excited because not only is it fun to watch, but it also tends to be very successful. So what does this mean now? I'm sure you may be asking, okay, great, but we need the personnel, we need the players to actually execute this stuff. So I was trying to look at, I know XFL Analyst has been trying to put together a big list of everyone who's invited to the XFL draft, but in his own words, it's not completed because not everyone, tells him that not everyone makes it public that they're in the XFL draft in the first place. So that's why I sort of just ditched that. And I was just trying to think, given the history of AJ Smith, the players he's coached, and what I'd like to see, what players do we need in 2023 to have the same success as the 2020 Roughnecks, if not even more, for AJ Smith specifically. This isn't defense, offense only, like I said earlier. First and foremost, I truly do believe the number one thing we need, while yes, a good quarterback is crucial, I think the main priority needs to be wide receivers, specifically great route runners like Cam Phillips. Like, I'm thinking of a guy like Cam Phillips. Cam Phillips could run routes like nobody's business. That's why he was the best in 2020 in the XFL. We need another one of those guys. All right, sure, it would be great to add size and height and stuff, but Cam Phillips wasn't the strongest or fastest guy on the field. He wasn't. Again, he's my favorite. He's like my favorite wide receiver. But he could run routes like perfectly. The defenders couldn't catch up to him because of how well he ran routes. We're going to need that in 2023. We're going to need a route runner who can go deep, make the right cuts, and get open. Sure, if you find a guy who can do that with more speed or more height, that's a bonus at this point. But we need a great route runner, a go-to target like Cam Phillips. And now talking about quarterback, PJ Walker, pretty much just recreate the 2020 Roughnecks. With PJ Walker, not only did he have the arm is crucial, but he had the accuracy as well. Accuracy is going to be so important in an air raid offense like this. You can't have underthrows or overthrows. You cannot have that. Arm strength is sort of a need nowadays for any quarterback. I think any quarterback in the XFL in 2023 is going to have the capability to throw the rock very well. But I think the accuracy is going to set some quarterbacks apart, and especially with this AJ Smith air raid offense, we're going to need a very deadly accurate quarterback. We can't have overthrows because that's going to go into overshoot your guy. Underthrows is going to get intercepted. Simple as that. And you may say, PJ Walker, he was also athletic, but once again, sort of like with the throw power, the arm power thing, I think it sort of needs to be a given for a quarterback. Nowadays, you got to be athletic in the pocket, all right? You can't be successful, unless you're Tom Brady, but you can't be successful without being athletic in the pocket. PJ Walker was able, under pressure, bam, roll out, his arm strength and accuracy got him touchdowns outside the pocket, So those two things are going to be crucial when it comes to draft day in November 2023. You're going to want to find a great route runner as well as a very accurate quarterback, almost a well-rounded quarterback, but I'm looking for accuracy most often. You got to hit the guys in the open field because, hey, AJ Smith is going to design plays to get guys open. So we're going to need a quarterback to capitalize on this AJ Smith offense. And as much as I would love to be in the draft room in November 2023, sadly, I more than likely won't unless something dramatic changes in my life these next coming months, but I don't think that's going to happen. But those are the two guys or type of guys, players that I'm going to be looking for the Houston team or the Houston Roughnecks to draft. So I don't know who's going to be in charge, whether it be Wade Phillips or Wade Phillips and his coordinators. We don't really know that. We won't really know that, but one thing's for sure, though. I believe that this Houston team already has the potential to be the best team in the league. And I know it may sound biased or exaggerated, but this coaching staff so far is phenomenal. I may cover the defensive coordinator next episode or whatever, but just based on offense alone, it's going to be some exciting games. AJ Smith, he is a student of the game. He knows what he's doing. He knows his stuff. He has been taught by some legends of the game. And I just can't wait to see what he does with Coach Phillips. I really can. He's going to, I can't wait to see AJ Smith sort of grow into this role of his own because he's still relatively young. I think he's going to just grab this position and excel in it so much. And even just based off of his spring league success and his high school success, he just seems like a great guy for all the players and for the coaching staff too. You can tell he really does care about the success of his players, which is always so crucial. But I'm so excited. Y'all should too. Reading this today, researching AJ Smith, it made my day. It absolutely made my day. I'm so hyped about him, and I will probably revisit this topic after the November draft just to see who we got and how I think it's going to, compare with AJ Smith's game plan or game scheme style. But that's in November. We got a few months to be super hyped about this. All right, so next episode, I more than likely will check out the defensive side of things, which I believe will have more Wade Phillips in it than on the offensive side. But I hope you enjoyed this podcast. I hope you learned something new. I had fun learning about the air raid and the run and shoot offense and stuff, two of my favorite offensive schemes in football. But I hope you learned something new too. If you aren't used to that style of or type of football talk, I hope you learned something new with that. I hope you had fun, learning about the background of AJ Smith and just really the future of this Houston team. We're going to be in for a ride. All right, so make sure you hit that subscribe button down below if you did enjoy this podcast, because, hey, you got to join this Roughnecks Analyst Podcast group, this Roughnecks Analyst brand, like I said in the introduction. You got to join it. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm on Twitter, Instagram. My Twitter and Instagram will be in the description down below. And, of course, make sure you subscribe once again to this podcast. It would mean the world to me. And, hey, turn on notifications so you don't miss your number one spot for Roughnecks news, analysis, all that good stuff. I got you covered. I'm your guy for anything Roughnecks. So, folks, thank you so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and go Roughnecks. Let's go, baby.